welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. I'm Alison Donnelly, and today is Monday, January 28th.
And I'm Rob Churnside, and I'm glad it's Monday, January 28th, because we're almost done with January, then we knock out February, then March, and then spring.
I know, but it really, winter, I feel like winter has arrived. I mean, we've talked about this before, but really, it's cold.
So I'm excited about tonight's show, too. I'll be talking with, speaking of spring and bicycle season,
yeah.
I'll be talking with Dave, Commissioner from Rising Sun, about the new RailstoTrails project.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool, and I'm excited to learn about it. And I'm talking to art teacher at Elkton High School, Marie Freisleben, about the anti-bullying video she and her students produced. If you haven't seen it, I know you haven't because it's on Facebook, but I'll send it to you. It's really great, and I'm excited to talk to her about her students and the video they put together. And then we're also going to hear from the Cecil County Public Library about the plans for the new Northeast Library.
That's the one that's 15 times bigger than the previous library. I read about it in the paper. Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, is there anything, Allison, that you want to ask me?
Yeah, what happened to your nose?
Oh, it's a logging accident. But actually, it's fine. I just hit myself cleaning out my wood stove. And I went to an axe throwing venue.
Oh, tell me about that. I've been to one
this
too.
weekend. Well, people line up. I know there's one in Elkton. I think it's called You Bet Your Axe.
It's called You Bet Your Axe.
But this one was up in Pennsylvania, and people line up. There's like 6 rows, and they throw axes at 2x8s. And they have a little target spray painted on there, and they have a little coach that tells you how to do it. We should go do that.
We should, yeah. I had trouble getting the form down because it's a very specific motion, and it took me a long time to get it.
Watch old Daniel Boone reruns with Mingo throws the axe at the tree at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't think that's how they want you to do it.
Oh my. So anyway.
So it sounds like we're going to have some snow. I just learned that Cecil County Public Schools is already delayed 2 hours for tomorrow, Tuesday the 29th. So.
Well, I got my shovels all racked up. I got my firewood racked up. Are you ready?
You bet your axe I am. And now for the news. In what County Attorney Jason Allison called a big win, the county's lawsuit against prescription opioid manufacturers filed early last year has survived the defendant's motion to dismiss several claims in the suit. The county's lawsuit seeks monetary damages and equitable relief against 21 wholesale distributors and opioid manufacturers, and is based on the defendant's role in the diversion of millions of prescription opiates into the illicit market. In 2018, there were 69 deaths from overdoses here in Cecil County. The state fire marshal is investigating a dwelling fire that occurred late last night on Frenchtown Road. The one occupant of the converted garage, William Miller, was home alone and awoke to smoke and discovered his living room on fire. Miller was able to escape. Sadly, however, 11 dogs perished in the fire. The home and all contents are considered a complete loss. Red Cross is assisting. The Maryland State Police are among the law enforcement agencies in the state this month who are participating in an initiative to raise additional awareness about aggressive driving. The ADAPT program is an aggressive driving enforcement and education campaign designed to curb dangerous behaviors and make Maryland roads safer for everyone. ADAPT is an acronym for Aggressive Drivers Are Public Threats. The program targets driving behaviors like speeding, tailgating, weaving in and out of traffic, or running stop signs and red lights. So, you want to be a rock and roll star? Starting February 2nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Cecil College will be offering a class that gives budding musicians a unique opportunity to play in bands, write their own music, perform, and record demos. Fees and registration information can be found on the college's website, www.cecil.edu. And finally, winter weather will be coming our way tomorrow and Wednesday in the form of rain and snow, followed by a plunge to extreme cold with an expected low Wednesday night of 5 degrees. It could be worse. The Arctic vortex is delivering to Midwestern states temperatures as low as negative 29 degrees this week. And now for a word from our sponsors.
Oh no, the furnace is on the fritz again.
This time I'm calling the moon guy.
Wow, he's here already?
At your service. There you go. Mission accomplished. Our house is nice and warm again. Thanks, Moon Man.
You're awesome!
You're welcome. Just go to moonairinc.com.
For out-of-this world service, moonairinc.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sam Charles. For 30 years, I have been practicing functional medicine and gentle chiropractic. Elkton Chiropractic Neurology is dedicated to enhancing whole-body rejuvenation, whether or not you are afflicted with injury or disease. We utilize a structural, neurologic, metabolic, nutritional, and energetic approach to restoring your body to its full potential.
After coming to Dr. Charles, I'm better than I was before.
You deserve to feel good and to have an active lifestyle, so why not call Elkton Chiropractic Neurology today?
Good evening, and welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. I'm Alison Donnelly, and I'm here with Elkton High School art teacher Marie Freisleben. Thanks so much for being here.
Nice to meet you.
So if you've been on Facebook in Cecil County this past few weeks, you may have noticed a really awesome video produced by Ms. Freisleben and her students at Elkton High School, and we brought her into the studio to talk about it. So tell me about this project that you and your students have worked on.
So it's developed over, so I'm in my 4th year of teaching, and we've done 3 videos technically in the past. And because of the popularity that grew from that, superintendent caught wind of the past videos. And we have this Hear Something, Say Something campaign that we try to raise awareness. When you see something or hear something, you say something. I think it's that right. So it came to me, and I was asked to see if I could put together a video with my students. And it was over the course of getting students together. I've had conversations with my principal, and then I kind of like got some students that like came to me from years past, and then I also had students that were freshmen this year, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this video, like, do you wanna go, like, I told everyone that we were gonna be like Facebook famous, which means nothing to them because they don't have Facebook, but they were all for it because they like being in front of the camera, but it also gave them a chance to have a voice. So they got together probably like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times with me, planning out the video. Well, yeah, we would just plan the different scenes and stuff like that. And then it kind of grew from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the video. What are the themes are obviously see something, hear something, say something, but what's going on in the video?
So the video is kind of trying to like tell this story of we are living in this world, drowning in social media news, and we see all these things happening on TV, and just because it's not something that's like that catastrophic, thank goodness, that's like right in front of us, it doesn't mean that it's not possible and that we shouldn't like take note to paying attention to it.
Right.
So it does show clips of like real news, things going on in the news. And it shows like how people can kind of like turn a blind eye sometimes to like the fights or because we're so used to it. Yeah. And it becomes like almost something like, oh, here we go again. Like, yeah, people are, like it was interesting because as we were shooting the one scene with the 2 girls like fighting, the girl was getting really into it and she's like yelling. And like you actually had kids coming around the corner with cameras.
Oh, thinking it was real.
Yeah, so, but it just added to this like, why? Like, why is there not more concern? And like, let's raise awareness about this. Like, this is something that we should.
Yeah, really interestingly, and I think the video does a really great job of this. It shows that it's important to be looking out for, you know, indicators that bad things are happening. But also, it's not just about like, you know, when you see something or say something at an airport, you know, if you see an indicator of something bad going on. You're supposed to say something about it. It's also about like hear something, see something, and also connect with other people and reach out in a positive way. And I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, it was like because I don't want to just leave it at like let's present the bad. Like let's actually show some solutions, and it is just as simple as like just doing that act of kindness for someone else because you don't know what other story they're going through, and and even on your worst day, that's really a hard mindset to get out of like getting out of your own head and realizing that other people have a story
Right.
too, especially in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I remember, I'm still like young enough that I remember high school.
Yeah.
So I like can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I try to like, I was trying to, through the movie, show that it should be more about like finding solutions and just being a kind person.
Yeah. And so what kind of impact do you think that theme has on students? What do you think it means to them?
I honestly think they'll realize as they get older what an impact it really, really is.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now they're realizing that like they do have a voice, and which is what I hope that there's a right way to go about having a voice. And although you want to react in that moment, there's other ways to get your point across, and you can still be heard. And for me, and maybe I'm a little biased because I'm an art teacher, I think art is a great way to express that. And I think video is just one of the things that we were able to create the poem and like the scenery or the scenes to go with it, and try to paint this picture of what we should be doing and what we could be doing, kind of thing.
So as you mentioned, the project of creating this video started as a very Elkton-centric thing, and this year is expanded and is more geared towards all of Cecil County Public Schools. What do you think is next with this project? Do you think it'll continue to
I
grow
would
and
love
become?
that.
Yeah.
I've actually had a student come to me, and I'm going to hold him accountable for it, especially if he sees this. He wants to make like a page, like a YouTube channel where these like videos can go. And I think there's a business within the community that he's trying to, he wants to really start this up and like have like Elkton community videos that we do and stuff like that, which I think would be really cool.
Maybe they could collaborate with Cecil TV.
Yeah. No, and I even had, I've had multiple people reach out to me about like how well the video was done, and there was, there's people that want to do like a We Are Elkton video. So I think it's really cool that that's kind of, it brings community together.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Marie Freisleben is an art teacher at Elkton High School. She and her students created an anti-bullying video themed See Something, Hear Something, Say Something.
And now 30 at 6, welcome to Dave Warnick. Dave, welcome to 30 at 6. Town Commissioner Roger Son going to tell us about an exciting new project, long time in the works.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. So I'm excited about this. This is a great opportunity for the town to grow economic development. We've been working a number of years to try and get the town in a position where we can start to bring back the economy of the downtown area, and we feel that the RailstoTrails is going to be an important part of that economic redevelopment of the town of Rising Sun. Plus, it's a great amenity for people to use. It's it's good for health and exercise, but also just recreational use, and it'll even serve some communities to allow them to have an easy transportation network to get from where they live into the downtown area near Martins and that area of town. So it's about a 3.6 mile trail that we're looking to complete, and so as we get moving on that,
and that'll be great.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So for some of our viewers that don't know, the RailstoTrails concept involves basically what?
So there's a number of different organizations, but one of the most prominent ones is the RailstoTrails Conservatory. And so back in the, I want to say 70s and 80s, there were a lot of different, and might even been as early as the 60s, there were different legislation passed that allowed for abandoned or really inactive railroad beds to be converted into basically a walking and bicycling and like a non-motorized trail. So there's federal programs and state programs, and most of the trails, so the trail we're looking at would be a non-motorized trail because that's the funding mechanisms and such that we're looking at would provide for that. Motorized trails are a lot harder to get built, and I don't think we'd want to build a motorized trail. You'd have four-wheelers run up and down the trail through town, so it's probably not the best thing.
Go all over the place now anyway.
So there's plenty of farmland around for that, but the non-motorized trails, there's a few good examples in Maryland. There's the NCRR, which is now the Torrey Brown Trail in Baltimore County.
Right.
That's about 20 miles in Maryland, and then it extends about another 26 miles from the Maryland line up into York, Pennsylvania.
Well, how long will Rising Sun's Trail be?
So
Three?
the section in Maryland right now that we've acquired, we've acquired part of it, and we're in the process of acquiring the rest of it from the county, is about 3.6 miles. So,
Starting from where to where?
So the section that we're looking to complete is, so if we look here on the map, so from Jacob Tone Memorial Highway, if you follow the train tracks up, it goes across Queen Street here by the old railroad station, and then across Main Street, right there in front of, like, near Martin's, and then it would continue on up across Stevens Road and up to the Pennsylvania state line. So it's about 3.6 miles in Maryland, and then the potential exists that it could continue up into Oxford about another 5 miles.
Well, that's great. So
so
anybody could get, any living close to that trail could get on their bike and go shopping.
Yeah, and not only that, there's a lot of benefits from Rails to Trails beyond just economic development and such, and exercise and things. There's one of the things that actually tends to happen along Rails to Trails is property values within a quarter mile of a Rails to Trails project typically increase by about 15%.
Wow.
So there's a lot of benefits to having that nearby. Crime is lower on a Rails to Trails than an abandoned rail line. So there's any number of benefits. Most people that oppose Rails to Trails once it's in typically kind of change their mind on it. So it's there's been a lot of support in the community. Obviously, there's a couple people that are skeptical of the idea, but I believe we'll win them over with time.
Well, you bike and I bike, and
Yep.
that's pretty much unanimous. Bikers are good people.
Yeah.
Right? So people have concerns about strangers going through their backyard on their bicycles, but that statistic you just quoted disputes that.
Yeah, so there's plenty of data out there on that. Rails to Trails Conservatory gathers a lot of it, and but there's also a lot of it's been gathered by different government agencies, both local governments and state governments, and the predominant amount of data indicates that Rails to Trails, particularly in rural areas, is a net positive by a long shot to the community.
Great.
There's actually an organization called Trail Towns that the whole purpose of the organization is to help rural communities develop trails along old railroad corridors with the idea that they serve as great economic development engines for the towns. So one of the classic examples is the Allegheny Passage out in, or the Great Allegheny Passage out in western Maryland it goes up into Pennsylvania towards Pittsburgh. So.
Well, I know from experience, I've ridden a lot of them, and they're a lot of fun, and often you see a little restaurant or ice cream stand along there.
Yeah, so there's actually a trail up in Hershey that, I can't think of the name of it for the life of me, but it's as you're going up 743 into Hershey, and bike shops are notoriously difficult to keep in business. They're low margin, low volume. It's just everything bad about running a business is typically in a bike shop, right? So you tend to find them around college towns, urban areas where you have large populations. It takes things like that to keep them. Well, you very rarely find a bike shop in a rural community. And so on that trail up on 743, there's actually a bike shop. It's actually called the Rails to Trails Bike Shop, I believe. And that bike shop has been there for years, and it seems to be growing. But the key thing about it is it's right along a rail trail. So you're literally locating your business right next to where your customers are.
That's
and
great.
another good example is in Moncton. There's it's like a restaurant. It's like a little sandwich shop. They have ice cream, bicycle rentals, things like that. And they've been there for well over 20 years now. And that area of Moncton really didn't have anything going on until that trail went through.
Well, one day Rising Sun will get there. I'm glad we're getting started.
Yeah.
There's challenges. I know are there rails to pull up? There's a mound that I read about
So
in the paper. Or?
there are some sections of rails. We'll try and leave the rails down in as many places as we can. If you go to the NCRR trail, most of the rails are still there actually. And it kind of adds to the character. It's neat when you're riding along and you see the rails next to you. In some places we can utilize the rails to kind of hold the stone in place.
Right.
So there's some advantages to keeping the rails in place for that. In some places, due to damage to the rails or some grading we're going to have to do to try and make it compatible with the existing grade crossings for the roads, things like that. There's some rails that'll have to come out.
This
And,
mound that I read about.
Well, so the section between Main Street and Biggs Memorial Highway was unfortunately filled in about 30 feet deep or so. And one of the other things that kind of goes with that, and we actually now own that piece of land, and there's a lot of back and forth on that, but at this point we're just going to take care of it. We know we're going to have to remove a fairly significant amount of dirt from there to lower it back down to the original grade. We can utilize the dirt in other places, so it's not just a waste. I mean, we actually have needs for that dirt, so we're fortunate in that regards. We have a water line that runs through there somewhere. We're not exactly sure how deep it is, but there is some concern, if we ever had to service that water line, it may be buried so deep right now we couldn't get to it. By being able to go in there and lower it back down so that we're maybe a few feet above that water line, that would be, an ideal way to kind of allow us to be able to more easily maintain our water system too. So
let's take care of two projects at once.
exactly.
It's a
So it's
win-win.
all things like that. And I always try and look for areas where we can kind of get two things done at once, like some kind of a synergy in our projects.
How can our viewers help? Volunteers?
So we're going to need a lot of volunteers. I actually have one gentleman that's been helping me quite a bit, and we've had a lot of Eagle Scout projects on parks. So in Veterans Community Park, we've actually built a trail system already in that park. Those volunteer hours actually become really important for the town of Rising Sun when it comes to funding. There's a lot of federal funds out there that will pay 80%. So somehow we have to come up with the other 20%. Well, the town of Rising Sun, realistically, from a tax-based standpoint, it's not really that practical for us to come up with 20%. But there's state mechanisms, there's private mechanisms. So we're working with some private partnerships to get portions of it done. We can also use volunteer hours as in-kind contributions, so we don't have to necessarily come up with 20% in cash.
Well, I, for one, can't wait, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. If somebody wants to volunteer, call Town Hall.
They can call Town Hall. They can also reach out to me directly. It's Commissioner Warnick at risingsunmd.org, and it's WARNICK. So, and also if you go on the town's website at risingsunmd.org and go under Commissioners, you'll find all my contact information.
Hey, let's get rolling.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I can't wait. Great.
I'm going to take you back to where we were just a year ago when we really went to the community to engage all of you, every citizen in this community, from students to business owners and community members, around the design to really get a sense of your needs, your aspirations, and your ideas for what this library could be.
So first of all, we reached out with a survey, paper survey and digital survey. We had over 350 respondents of all ages from all over the county, and we'll talk about some of the details of that in a bit. We had 8 community meetings, different members of the community, different ages, different user groups. So we began to look at where to place the key elements of the site. Someone had parking with a big capital P up here, and I was a planning commissioner in my town for 6 years, and we called it the Richmond Parking Commission because every project had to do with parking first. If you solve the parking problem, you can solve most other problems, right? But we thought that parking needed to be kind of in this corner because this really wasn't appropriately shaped to support the library. So that gave us the notion that we would put the building back in this corner. And that square represents about 20,000 square feet of building on 2 floors. That's not very inspiring to us. It doesn't make a lot of sense to us. So we began to look at how we could take the building program elements, the key program elements of a library and an administrative headquarters space, and break them up and use those 2 building masses to compose and organize the site more eloquently. And then of course we want to respond to the solar orientation. So maybe the library piece faces true north-south, east-west. So north-facing glass here, you'll see why. South-facing glass here. It's also a bit of a better neighbor. So the front door is here and it has a bit of a nod to the entrance off of 40 and still maintains the prominent view here. And again, this view up the hill is straight up to that end of the building.
So you first entered the library through this point here. On my staff, we call this the Book Lovers Marketplace. The mission of the Cecil County Public Library is to champion reading, to build knowledge, and to inspire curiosity. We're creating a space or an experience as you walk in that allows you to experience our mission in every way. That's going to be a place where we have vibrant, dynamic book displays. It introduces you to a way to discover all the resources in the collection there. In this area, there's some cafe seating. We have some vending machines so that people can get food and drinks as they're in the library. Off to my left here, we have two, in addition to the public restrooms and the elevator, we have a 100-person community meeting room. It's about the size of Elkton's. I see some people smiling. I think that's going to be a huge benefit to citizens here. I think this is probably our largest meeting room and probably much in demand. Right across the hall is what we're calling our Creative Commons classroom. Has anybody here heard of a makerspace? Okay, a few. It's a space for all members of the community, not just children, to do really fun, creative, hands-on learning and discovery. We could have tools in there. We could have 3D printers or virtual reality in there. We don't know. It's, all of the spaces here are designed to be very durable, but also flexible, so that they can evolve as the needs and interests and goals of the community do. As you come into the first floor area of the library, we have the collections in the middle here. In total, we have about 70,000 items planned for this collection. That's right now 4 times the size of what's in that little branch in town. All throughout, particularly around the perimeter where there's a lot of glass and views to nature, our seating, study tables, all with access. This branch is going to have high-speed broadband. So many places, many choices for people to come and sit down. Really special space on this floor here is what I refer to as the Business Commons. I could do a whole other presentation on the library's Small Business Information Center, and some of you have probably been to those presentations. But our business librarians perform a really important service in this town, in this community, and are a part of the county's economic ecosystem. We started the Business Center about 15 years ago. We used the expertise of a research librarian to help nascent and aspiring entrepreneurs connect with the information, the people, and the ideas, to test business ideas, to put together a business plan, to really walk them by the hand through the whole process of getting started, to ask the right questions and to get the right information at the right time. Something that's emerged in the 15 years that we have operated our business center is that you don't need to have a storefront or an office to be a successful business owner, but you don't always want to be working or meeting with clients in your house either. So as part of the Business Commons, we have 2 rooms specifically for business owners and entrepreneurs in the community where they can have meetings, they can do training, they can Skype someone in. We also have a lot of job seekers we work with at the library who more and more are Skyping interviews. Now there's a great space for them to be able to do that. We performed a couple of focus groups over the summer when we heard the need that we want to have some kind of technology or media lab. That could be so many things. We invited business owners on Main Street in Northeast. We had representatives from the school and the college and some of the larger industries like Gore and Northrop Grumman to come and do a needs assessment. And for what you might assume would be kind of disparate needs across that group, we really came up with some common threads. One was that business owners in the town of Northeast really wanted the library to use our ability to broker good quality software for particularly design to them by bringing in Macs, by purchasing InDesign software so that they could create really great graphics for their businesses, learn how to do all kinds of things that they right now don't have access to the technology or the skill sets to do. The other one was that they all wanted the ability to edit and record really good sound. And that surprised us. They wanted to be able to create commercials, to do PSAs, to do training videos, a lot of podcasting. We had grandparents in the group who thought it would be wonderful if they could record themselves reading books for their grandchildren, or people who wanted to do oral history. And so if you build the space right, it's pretty easy to provide this. So we have a small sound recording studio in here as well.